Welcome back. The Department of Home Affairs is looking into technology to help combat identity theft. It's proposing that detailed biometrics of newborn babies be captured. The babies will then receive digital numbers which will be linked to their parents' identity numbers. But just how safe is this? To discuss the draft policy and its safety, family law expert Muhammad Abduroaf joins me on Skype from Cape Town. Thank you very much for your time. Before we get to the alarm bells, what are some of the benefits of capturing and keeping biometric records of newborns?
I think the first benefit will obviously be that each child will be identified, and that will give the country or the government at least an opportunity to properly govern the country. So if we do know that there are 10 million minor children born in 2021, we can prepare accordingly how many schools we should have, how many hospitals we should have, and so on. So it does assist, and at the same time, it will be in line with the international trends, whereby many other countries are following this process. If a child is excluded from this process and is not registered, a great amount of problems will arise in the future. The child might not be able to go to school or access a public hospital and so on.
And of course the thinking behind it is to also prevent identity theft. But what are some of the risks attached to recording that data? Surely if a birth certificate in paper form can be stolen or sold by officials, the same can apply to electronic data.
Yeah, if you consider the fact that we are progressing with technology is concerned, whereby certain type of cyber criminals that were in place 10 years ago, the specific work won't be applicable today. So if this law does come into operation, I'm sure that the government will make use of the latest technology, the latest available resources to curb these specific potential problems that might occur. If you look at the Constitution as it is as at place, it's basically 25 years old, it does not really foresee the possibility of these type of identity theft being, implemented. Alternatively, the protection of private rights regarding biometric scanning and so on. So it is a concern to me that there's a potential of abuse and corruption taking place. But if I look at the bigger picture, I can only see it being beneficial to South Africans in the future.
As you say, I mean, our legislation around privacy, around capturing of data needs to change. How will that have to be changed in order for this biometric data capturing to be done safely?
Yeah, if you look at the Constitution, Section 14, it's quite outdated. As I said earlier, it's 25 years old. It says everyone has a right to privacy, which includes a right not to have the person or home searched, the property search, the personal possession search, etc., and the privacy of the communication infringed. So it's quite old, and it never took into consideration the specific modern problems we might have in the future. So what basically will have to happen is, this is where the limitation clause comes in. So if government does implement these new policies and these new laws, technically infringing upon your personal rights, there has to be a justifiable reason therefore. And if it is justifiable and, it passes constitutional muster, and then all will be in order. But there must be a proper policy in place, and it must be rational.
Do we have the right kind of infrastructure and expertise to get this right? And I'm asking because basic improvements to services, like, for instance, issuing of vehicle registration and licensing discs, that system has collapsed, causing a headache for all motorists across South Africa. It's a relatively basic system. But if we get it wrong and we don't have the right kind of infrastructure, something that has great intent could be a headache for parents instead of making their lives easier.
No, I agree with you 100%. But at the same time, when I done research on the specific topic, I asked myself the question: is why is so backing in the system? We should have actually implemented something like this long ago. It is the way forward. We cannot continue operating this country on an analog system. We need to update our infrastructure, our information technology, and so on, so that we can be in line with the trends of international governments and international stakeholders. Because if we do not do that, South Africa will be in the backseat, and we will continue being a country that's not progressive, and with other countries that are actually in the forefront of these type of technologies.
So perhaps the question should not be, can we do it, but how do we get it right? We know that the policy is open for public comment until the 28th of February. How should parents engage with this process to make sure that they protect the rights of their infants?
Yes, so we know that the draft official identity management policy, it was gazetted, I believe, on the 31st of December, so it's about 8 days old. I would advise everybody, I will do it myself as well, I will write to government and give my own opinion on this matter. I think first and foremost there must be a big budget regarding the protection of this personal information. And it's nice to have nice policies in place, nice laws in place, allowing, when the child gets born, they will take a picture of the ear, of the eyes, of the feet and so on. But we do want it to work, so we do not want to have a problem once a child registers for school, and that's generally the first time a birth certificate gets used, and then the child is not on the system, the child is not identified, and then problems that could have been avoided long ago comes about now. And I would presume that's when the problems will arise, not today, once the child gets born and the child gets biometrical details gets recorded. It will be in the future in 6 years' time or 7 years' time. So I would advise everybody, lawyers, businesses, and so on, to please consider how does this affect your business or your practices. And please write to government and advise them, or maybe suggest to them on how they can mold this policy in order to be workable. It is quite a new policy. I mean, South Africa never done something like this before. And we need to have the buy-in of everybody in order to make it work. Mothers and businesses as well.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. That was family law expert Muhammad Abduroaf speaking to us on the new Home Affairs Department technology to help combat identity theft.